Script, business ethics, changing work environments, and future trends. Here's a number that might stop you cold. By 2030, up to 375 million workers worldwide may need to switch occupational categories entirely, not just learn new skills, but completely change what they do for a living. That is not a dystopian prediction. That is from McKinsey Global Institute. So the question is not whether work is changing. The question is whether businesses are ready to handle that change ethically. Welcome back. In this video, we are breaking down one of the most important chapters in business ethics today: how changing work environments are creating brand new ethical challenges, and what the future of work actually demands from companies, leaders, and workers alike. By the end of this video, you will understand 5 major forces reshaping work right now, and why each one carries serious ethical weight. Let us get into it. Section 1. The rise of the gig economy and worker classification. The gig economy sounds modern and exciting. Flexible hours, be your own boss, work from anywhere. But underneath that freedom is an ethical tension that businesses have been quietly wrestling with for years. When a company classifies workers as independent contractors instead of employees, those workers typically lose access to health benefits, paid leave, retirement plans, and legal protections. Companies save money, workers absorb the risk. The ethical debate here is not simple. On one side, some workers genuinely prefer flexibility and would trade benefits for autonomy. On the other side, many gig workers have no real choice. They need steady income and end up trapped in a system that looks like freedom but feels like vulnerability. California's AB 5 law tried to reclassify many gig workers as employees. Major platforms fought back hard. The legal battle is still unfolding in courts across the country. From an ethics standpoint, the core question is this: when a company profits significantly from someone's labor, does it have a moral obligation to protect that person's basic well-being, regardless of what a contract says? Think about that as we move into our next section, because the next force reshaping work makes this question even harder to answer. Section 2. Automation, AI, and job displacement. Artificial intelligence and automation are not coming for jobs. They are already here. Routine tasks in manufacturing, data entry, customer service, and even some areas of legal and medical work are being handed off to machines. And the ethical stakes are enormous. Here is the ethical dilemma businesses face. Automation often increases profit margins dramatically, but it can devastate local communities almost overnight. A factory that replaces 200 workers with robots does not just eliminate paychecks. It can hollow out an entire town. Gas stations close. Schools lose funding. Families move. The ripple effect is real and lasting. So what is a company's ethical responsibility here? Some argue businesses have a duty to retrain displaced workers, to phase in automation gradually, or to reinvest savings into workforce development programs. Others say companies are not social welfare agencies. Their job is to compete and survive. But business ethics challenges us to ask whether profitability alone is a sufficient moral justification when real human harm is the direct result of a business decision. The companies navigating this most thoughtfully are investing in what is called reskilling, actively teaching displaced workers new competencies. It costs money up front, but it reflects a stakeholder model of business, where employees matter as much as shareholders. Stay with us, because the next section looks at a trend that affects every single person watching this video. Section 3. Remote work and the ethics of surveillance. The pandemic normalized remote work almost overnight. And while many workers embraced the flexibility, something else happened quietly in the background. Employee monitoring technology exploded in popularity. Screen capture tools, keystroke logging, GPS tracking for remote workers, productivity scores generated by algorithms. All of it became mainstream very fast. This raises a genuine ethical question about privacy and trust. If a company trusts you enough to hire you, is it ethical to monitor your every click throughout the workday? Proponents say accountability is important, especially when managers cannot physically observe their teams. Critics say invasive monitoring creates a culture of distrust increases anxiety, and actually reduces productivity over time. The ethical principle at play here is dignity. Workers are not machines. Treating employees as suspects who need to be constantly watched communicates something very specific about how leadership views them. Ethical organizations are finding balance, setting clear output expectations and trusting employees to meet them, rather than measuring time spent in front of a screen. The companies that figure out how to preserve trust in remote environments will have a serious competitive advantage. And that connects directly to our next topic. Section 4. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in a Changing Workplace. The conversation around diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) has moved from the margins of business to the center of corporate strategy, and yet many companies still struggle to move beyond symbolic gestures. Posting a graphic in June is not the same as paying equitable wages, promoting people from underrepresented groups, or building systems that remove structural bias from hiring. Business ethics tells us that fairness is not optional, it is foundational. When two people do the same job with the same qualifications, and one earns significantly less because of gender or race, that is not just a social problem. It is an ethical failure with a direct line to company policy. Organizations have the power to fix it. The question is whether leadership has the will to act. Research consistently shows that diverse teams perform better, generate more creative solutions, and navigate complexity more effectively. So DEI is not just the right thing to do ethically, it is also good business strategy. But it requires sustained effort, measurement, accountability, and genuine commitment at every level. Do not click away yet, because our final section might be the most consequential of all. Section 5. Corporate Social Responsibility and the Future of Ethical Leadership. Corporate social responsibility (CSR) has evolved from a nice-to-have into an expectation. Consumers, employees, and investors are increasingly demanding that companies take real positions on environmental sustainability, social equity, and ethical governance. This is sometimes called the ESG framework: environmental, social, and governance standards. The ethical leader of tomorrow is not someone who simply avoids scandal. They are someone who proactively builds cultures where integrity is the default, where transparency is valued over optics, and where long-term impact matters as much as quarterly earnings. That is a fundamentally different model of leadership than what dominated the 20th century. The future of work will reward organizations that treat ethics not as a compliance checklist, but as a competitive identity. And that starts with individual choices, from the CEO all the way to the newest hire. So here is where we land. The work environment is changing faster than most ethical frameworks have been able to keep up with. The gig economy, automation, remote surveillance, inclusion, and corporate responsibility are not separate issues. They are interconnected challenges that demand thoughtful, principled responses from every level of business. Ethics is not a destination. It is a practice you commit to every single day. If this video helped you think about business ethics in a new way, do 3 things right now. Give it a like so more people find it, subscribe so you never miss a new lesson, and drop a comment below with the ethical issue from today's video that you think deserves the most urgent attention. Is it AI and job displacement? Worker classification? Surveillance? Tell me down below. I read every single comment. See you in the next one.